Welcome to this discussion between myself, Oliver Griefson, I'm the Vice Chairman of the Professional Standards Committee, and Katie Pearson, who's another member of the Professional Standards Committee. And today we're going to talk about continuing professional development. I know when it comes to applications and when it comes to the annual reviews on CPD, people groan, are a bit afraid, don't really know what constitutes CPD, and in some respects some people go, well, what am I meant to do? Today Katie and I are going to have a bit of a conversation about CPD, actually how most of us are probably doing CPD naturally within our roles, and hopefully lighten the load on people watching to what CPD actually is. So Katie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Oliver. So I'm Katie Pearson. My day job is I'm a technical director for hydraulic modelling at ACOM, and I've worked in consultancy all my career, so for nearly 20 years now. But I joined the CIWEM Professional Standards Committee about 18 months ago now, and really I've spent a lot of time since then thinking about CPD, looking at the CPD for new applicants for Chartership and looking at the annual CPD reviews. And that's made me think about my own CPD and about the CPD of new applicants and about the CPD of existing applicants. I'm sure we're all doing it, but there's better ways we could be recording it and making more structured plans around it, I think.
I've been a chartered member for about 15, 16 years now. And CPD was completely different. It was, people just tended to put a line on an Excel spreadsheet and said, I've done this, spent this amount of time. I think over the years, CPD's changed quite a bit. Would you agree?
I think so. When I started out as a graduate, CPD would have been training courses that I was sent and the company paid for, and that's what I would have been recording. And now I think as our industry has changed and as we have changed and grown into our careers, we realise that there's a lot more to CPD than a 2-day training course on a specific software or topic.
The new sort of model of CPD where that self-reflection came in about 4 years ago, more or less. And that's when CPD changed, I think, for a lot for the better. Because it wasn't just that random, oh, what do I find? What do I find in CPD? Oh, I've got to find something to put in my 30-hour record, or yeah, it's no, actually have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that probably ties in with where we are in an industry at the moment. I know we work in different bits of the industry, but across water and environment management, there is a scarcity of staff, and we know as individuals, people, that we are an asset. So we're investing in ourselves, aren't we, to make ourselves more sellable.
Best sort of applications I've seen coming through, of some of the best has been quite developed, of 3-4 years of career planning, and they've got management in an area, they've got technical development in an area, they've got other development in an area, and it's and then delivering that plan is their CPD throughout the years. And to me, that really resonated.
Yeah, because what you don't want a CPD record to be is just a random collection of activities that have got no threads linking them or no plan behind them. And that's what you'll get if you don't think it through when you just record, or even worse, you come to apply, you look back over your calendar for 3 years and think what you could include. It comes better, and my organisation is now helping us work through this, particularly as line managers. It comes better when you have a career conversation and have that medium to longer term look about where you want to be in your career, and you can then bring that down to the objectives you want to achieve within 1 year, and that's what we're going to be assessed against. And then you look at what you need to meet those objectives and hopefully focus your CPD around that. And what I've started to do is my CPD record, my spreadsheet has both things that I've done, and it has placeholders where I've thought I need to go and learn something, this, or something has triggered another thought, and my plan has therefore got a mixture of completed activities and things that I want to be looking at in the next few months.
I must admit it resonates for me, because number of CPD records I've reviewed over the years, and you see somebody, or I've had a 10-minute conversation in the corridor with somebody, with a colleague, and I'll put that down in CPD. It's almost a sort of desperate grab for CPD. I've got to make up my 30 hours. Oh yeah, I'll put 10 minutes. Oh, I've had that conversation there. And again, you're lacking that structure, you're lacking that purpose. But also something else that reflects on what you've just said, it's got to help the business you're in. That career discussion, I think, is quite vital. And I think the better companies, better organizations are taking that planning and review cycle quite well. Which is,
when you talk about what's the benefit for your company, the organization you're working for, that's something that we're looking out for when we're assessing CPD records for new charterships or for annual checks. We're looking that the candidates can demonstrate a benefit to themselves and to their organization. Now, we've not got an overriding interest in that. It doesn't really bother us whether their organizations are getting benefit, but it's important that the individuals are planning that CPD and thinking about their own benefit and their organization.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I mentor people, which I'm sure I know you do as well, Katie, I very much think of actually the sort of CPD and what I call CPD and CDP, the career development plan, and then continuing professional development as a sort of ever iterating circle of, yes, we should almost, and I know it sounds quite theoretical, plan at the beginning of each year where, and those sort of conversations we should almost have with the business, our employers, of going, actually, where would help the business, but where would help you as the person doing the CP develop, and then develop a CDP, career development plan, and then of course the CPD is just the delivery of that plan, and then ever iterating circles.
Record as you go along. Do not think you can do this retrospectively in a week before submitting your application, but hopefully most people realise that now. Then I think the other two pieces of advice are, one, like we've just talked about, linking it to your career development plan. So look forwards to where you want to be and plot a path that will get you there in sort of year by year steps, and then look at where the gaps are along that path and what you might need to fill them. And then the third piece of advice is, when you're looking at how to fill those gaps, think broadly. Don't just rush out for a training course or for a conference. Think about other ways that you might fill those. So have you come across someone in your network who appears to be a real expert in that field? And could you ask them if you could perhaps shadow them for a day or in a meeting, or offer you some mentoring? Is there something that you're aware happens in another country that you think we could learn from? And can you go out and research that and make some links to fill in a gap? And then just practically thinking about the way we've changed over the last couple of years, the amount of seminars, webinars, presentations that are available online and on demand is overwhelming now. And people will always be able to find things that interest them and things that fill those gaps. So I've been encouraging the people I mentor and the people in my teams to be subscribing to those YouTube channels, to be getting onto all of the mailing lists, and then just have that kind of thing playing in the background while you're working or walking or something. Great
points there, to be honest, Katie. And I remember the age-old thing is, you had to get a CPD certificate for every conference or training course you went on, and yeah, no, doesn't work that way anymore. But I think when I'm mentoring, I spoke to somebody this morning, in fact, and they were a graduate about 18 months out of university, and I said to them, well, start your CPD now. Start it now. Start looking at your mandatory competences now for an application. You're not going to be able to fulfill every mandatory competence. You're not going to be able to do all the CPD that you need to do, but just start. You're probably already doing it in some respect anyway, because none of us know everything in our day-to-day jobs. Things crop up that we won't necessarily know about, and guess what? We have to go away and look at it and go, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you develop that? Or speak to somebody and say, I've got this problem. Can you give me some hints and tips of how to resolve that? And then go away and do it. And that may be something you need in your day-to-day job, but at the end of the day, that's still developing your career. It's developing yourself professionally. It's developing yourself technically.
Keeping an eye on the news, what's in the media and what's in the press, and using that to spark some thoughts and investigations. So the things that at the moment I was thinking about, COP26 last year, and then there's a lot in the news about sewer overflows and the Environment Agency and the water companies and what they're doing there. So they're real hot topics, which that they're big in our field, and if we don't quite understand them or know enough of the various sides to have an opinion, then they are well worth some planned CPD time to go away and investigate and read and listen and talk to other people. And hey, doesn't that link to competence A1, showing that you understand the broader environmental sector in which you work?
That was my thought was running through my head when you were talking about it. I mean, I'd add a hint of caution to that, though. Look at not just what's on in the public press, but potentially there's some great, once you dig in, there's some great sources. So the Ofwat website, great source of, there's a consultation documents out all the time, and so it'll give you that broader okay, it's in your industry, but maybe give you a broader strategic output and see where everything fits in. And I suppose that's the point of competences A1 and A2, the broader strategic.
Absolutely what you say about where you go to for your information. I think we've all seen CPD records that were a bit too heavy on BBC natural history programs where we've questioned it slightly, but why doesn't that set you off on, I saw that on TV, I'm now going to go away and actually find a bit more evidence and some more informed articles or podcasts or whatever to listen to around it.
Some of the best answers I've ever had on A1. And in some ways, as long as you pick a subject and can actually defend your position on that subject, certainly when we've talked about net zero, I've heard people go, some people go, no, we're going to get rid of nuclear energy, evil. And then you get some people go, yeah, but we're going to need that to get us through the medium term. And you start to hear the sensible arguments, and actually that's quite, you can see when somebody's used their CPD to research the sensible argument and not just gone for the sort of generalistic point of view that you see in the broadsheets, that's maybe missing a little point here or there.
There were another couple of places where I just thought it was worth linking CPD to the mandatory competences as well. So one of them I wrote down, health and safety. it's really important when you're looking at how you meet that competence, that you understand the context in which you work, the policy, the legislation that is around your area of business. So that's a sure area for CPD. I know many of us in big organisations will have annual health and safety training, but you probably will get other specialist training too. That was one. The other one is the competence around your commitment to CIWEM. And let's just say I wouldn't be submitting a CPD record that didn't include a CIWEM activity on it. There were another couple of places where I just thought it was worth linking CPD to mandatory competences as well. So one of them I wrote down, health and safety, where it's really important when you're looking at how you meet that competence, that you understand the context in which you work, the policy, the legislation that is around your area of business. So that's a sure area for CPD. I know many of us in big organisations will have annual health and safety training, but you probably will get other specialist training too. That was one. The other one is the competence around your commitment to CIWEM. And let's just say I wouldn't be submitting a CPD record that didn't include a CIWEM activity on it.
You can see when somebody's used their CPD to research the sensible argument and not just gone for the sort of generalistic point of view that you see in the broadsheets, that's maybe missing a little point here or there.
So obviously there's the tool available on the CIWEM website, which is probably easiest for CIWEM if we were using that, but you don't have to use that format, and I don't. I have a spreadsheet offline that I work on, which should I be asked for, I can always sort of print out the relevant pages and send to CIWEM. So the format is not important. It's whatever works best for you. And we've had conversations about this in CIWEM meetings, haven't we, about whether there's something that you can be doing on the go or whether you like it done offline. The format doesn't matter as long as you are recording the links to your projects, to your role, the actions that are coming out of it, and the benefits to you and to your organisation.
Yes, ideally the CIWEM website, but some of us are multiple professional organisations and can't necessarily do that. But I think the key elements in there: what have you done? How long has it taken you? What's the benefit to your career? And that self-reflection is important.
And it doesn't take long, does it? I mean, each time you've done something, or perhaps once a week or once a month, just to reflect on what you've learned and add that into your log. However, it doesn't take you long, and it can be quite satisfying, I think, when you've been doing it as you go along, and then you look back over the course of a year, perhaps as you're approaching an appraisal time or performance conversation. It can be really quite satisfying to refresh yourself on what you have learned.
No, definitely. And I think looking at the way you've told us you're doing it, Katie, that structured plan really helps, because actually it will go, okay, I've got to that stage, I've got to that stage, I've got to that stage. Almost treat it like a personal project of your career development. I can't believe I'm going to say this, have fun with it. But it can be. It can be fun, and yes, it's not all conferences, but I think having that blend of yes, some formal training, yes, some conferences, yes, some personal private study, yes, but also that's the type, but in what areas. So I've certainly seen some good CPD when I've been doing CPD reviews. You can actually see where a person is in their career, and I try and predict where a person is in their career by the blend of yes, a technical development, yes, management development, or transferable skills development, and probably the best applications are a real blend of both.
Yeah, I've noticed that real change over my career, the gradual shift from more technical, I need to learn new skills, need to learn new methods, into I need to be able to manage other people delivering, and now lead a large community of people delivering. And you see that shift in the types of CPD that I've been doing. I quite like the mentoring. I've been in receipt of mentoring, and I've acted as a mentor, and that's grown through my career, that you can see on the CPD record. And I've gone from perhaps delivering part of a lunchtime training session to now organising a whole series of lunchtime training sessions. And it's nice to see progress in a career through the CPD record.
To me, the refreshing things are things like the mentoring platform. If you don't have a mentor in your organisation, all that internal mentoring is actually very valuable for the career. And I suppose that does separate the organisations in terms of, is an organisation really helping you to develop yourself? And because of course that develops the skills of the staff and the skill base of the company. And I suppose that's the value of CPD and mentoring and training to companies.
I was going to say my two final tips would be that quality is as important as quantity in CPD. Don't just look at that target of 90 hours over 3 years and focus on the number of hours. Think about the quality of what you're doing. But then my second takeaway is, don't be scared by that. You will be doing CPD without thinking about it. There'll be a lot going on in and around your job. So don't be scared. Just take the time to think it through and write it down.
People naturally in their jobs will be doing CPD. And it doesn't take much thought. For me, I think the only thing I would add to that is 3 words, or 1 word repeated 3 times: structure, structure, structure. And that, to me, the career development plan around into the continuing professional development and background again, and keep on rinsing around that cycle, to me is the natural progression through somebody's career. You said it earlier, going from technical, learning the real technical depth of your profession, and as you're getting towards further on in your career, moving towards some more management skills, some more leadership skills, some more. And that's the progression. And I suppose the other thing for me, start early. As a graduate, there's no reason, in fact, that's probably the best time to start with CPD or CDP and CPD. Start early, keep on doing it, keep thinking about it. Don't worry about it, but just keep on doing it.